Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MCDFNL Footy Show for another week. Second last home and away edition of the season, starting to get very, very exciting as we get very close to the finals time here in the MCDFNL. And we're looking forward to bringing you all of the talking points from the past week and also this weekend's huge, potentially finals shaping games in the MCDFNL right here on the MCDFNL Footy Show. Sean Kelly's my name. Joining me as always, Sam Gowers, my co-host. Sammy, welcome back.
Thanks, mate. Glad to be here again.
Bit of a long-winded intro there. I think I just started rolling and couldn't stop and changed direction 2 or 3 times.
I actually stopped listening to you. That's how long it got.
That's okay. You probably weren't the only one out there. So we'll get this thing back on track and start to talk about the main talking points of the week in the MCDFNL and talking about the WorkSafe game of the round for Country Victoria this weekend, happening out at the Newstead Reserve on Sunday afternoon. Newstead taking on Trentham. Fantastic for the MCDFNL to be chosen for this honour, and in the end they've probably chosen the best game of the round as well.
Yeah, they probably have. Could shape the finals makeup this game. A couple of special guests as well out at Newstead, possibly on Sunday.
Yes, I believe there will be as well. Some very, very special guests heading down there. So just get down there. Obviously, it's a Sunday game. It's changed from the original fixture where it was Saturday to allow as many people to get down there as you can. So get down there. Going to be a great day. Hoping to even see Liam Brady from AFL Victoria make an appearance down there. Would be very, very good to see.
Oh, very exciting. I'm sure the crowds will flock.
That's why they'd flock down there. Don't worry about that. Talking point number 2, looking at last weekend's games. And I suppose what struck me from last weekend was just the closeness of the games over the weekend. There was only a couple of goals in the Natty Lexington game. There was only a couple of goals in Newstead and Harcourt, and only 4 goals in the Talbot and Maryborough Rovers game. Even though it probably ended the Rovers season and definitely Harcourt's season, it just shows that amongst those teams that are basically sitting 5th to about 10th, there's not much in between them.
No, there's not much. It's probably a good sign for the league, Sean, that it is probably maybe a little bit more competitive this season than maybe in past years. We know Campbell's Creek and Malden haven't gone fantastically this year, but finishing off nicely at the end of the season. So, yeah, it should be an interesting season next year, I'd say. And
I reckon it's going to be an interesting final series as a result too, because obviously Lexington getting within 2 goals and Natty Bellaba, who are in 4th spot. Talbot going along very nicely at the moment as well. I think it's just going to give a bit of hope that obviously everyone's talking about the top 4 and then a bit of daylight. I don't think that might be the case this year. That second week of the finals and onwards is going to be very, very interesting this year.
Yeah, it will be, especially for teams like a Talbot or a Newstead, who I think maybe could do a little bit of damage come finals time.
Yeah, they could indeed. Watch this space, and we'll talk more about that very shortly as we look at this week's games. But before we do, talking point number 3. Obviously, we spoke last week about the events coming up, the junior presentation night, not all that far away, and then close behind that will, of course, be the Berry Power Medal. Clubs will be very soon getting their allocation of tickets for the year. They've already been advised of potential invitees to come along on the night, and we can also announce, as a Footy Show exclusive this week, the special guest speaker that will appear at the Berry Power Medal this year. There's not too many of his type around, being a Collingwood Premiership captain. There's not too many of those that exist in this world at the moment. And Tony Shaw, the man who led them to that drought-breaking grand final win in 1990 over Essendon, will be the guest speaker at the Berry Power Medal this year, which is very exciting.
Certainly is very exciting. Does some nice work on the commentary as well.
He does indeed. So it'll be great to see Tony come up and ply his wares at the Berry Power Medal. First Monday in September. I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head. I think it's around the 7th of September. Just haven't really got the calendar down pat all that much at the moment. But around that time, all the info is going to start coming out and appearing in the record on the website and everything like that. In fact, I even did one better. I just put the date on the screen, so that way I may not know what I'm talking about right now, but definitely do by the time it comes to editing. So we're all up and about for the Berry Power Medal and the date of that as we look at this week's games in round 15 in the MCDFNL, starting at the Avoca Public Park this week with Avoca taking on Denali. Hugely important game for the Eagles, this one. Obviously got touched up at the hands of Royal Park last week and their percentage copped an absolute battering, but if they win this game, percentage might not come into it because they've got Malden in round 16, which they'll be favourites to win. They could still earn themselves a final spot if they win this game.
Yeah, they could, but I think it'll be a really tough game. Avoca's been, I guess, up and down this season. They've put in some really good performances, some maybe not so good performances, but they are finishing off the year quite nicely, and I'm actually going to back the Bulldogs in a bit of an upset here.
Bulldogs with their last 2 games at home. Obviously, this one against Denali, which is winnable for them, and then the last game at Natty, which we know is always, they give themselves a chance of winning. They could really set themselves up for the pre-season in this next fortnight. And I think you're right. I think they'll give themselves a chance, but you just feel that Denali's got too much to play for to let this one slip. So I'm going with the Eagles in this one, but it also depends on which Eagles team turns up.
Yeah, they have, again, probably been an up and down side this year. We know they started off the season really well, and then things have probably plateaued for them a little bit. So, yeah, like you said, it could be a case of which Eagles outfit turns up.
Yeah, it could be indeed. Talbot taking on Campbell's Creek this weekend at the Talbot Rec Reserve. The Hawks up into 5th spot now, sitting pretty in 5th spot as well, and I think they'll hold that spot going into the finals either way. They're going to be playing finals this year, and they're playing some pretty good footy at the moment. Campbell's Creek going along okay in some parts, but just struggling to win away from the Creekadome this year. I think Talbot will start favourites here.
Yeah, so do I. We've probably seen in the past few seasons, Shaun, Talbot maybe just making up the numbers come finals time, probably down around that 7th, 8th spot. But a couple of really good years of development for Matt Smith and Dallas Byers have turned the Hawks into a bit of a finals contender.
Yeah, I think you're right in that one. Harcourt taking on Maldon this weekend. Harcourt's season all but came to an end last weekend with that loss to Newstead. Gave it absolutely everything they could, but couldn't quite get over the line. They'll start favourites this week against Maldon, although Maldon will be buoyed with their win the other week in the first half of the split round against Campbell's Creek, and they'll be looking for 2 on the trot.
They will be pretty rare for Maldon this season, looking for 2 wins on the trot scene. That was their breakthrough win for the year. Obviously, they're going to back Harcourt, even though they've now bombed out of finals contention.
Yeah, Harcourt at home, always a bit of a different prospect than they are on the road, and they played pretty well on the road last week, so I think they'll take that form into this weekend and get the win as well. Navarre taking on Lexington. This normally is a big ticket item, this game, because these are 2 teams that have had quite the history against each other, obviously dating back into the Lexington Plains League and now into the MCDFL, played off in grand finals and some really important games. Loses a bit of luster this one, I think, just because the teams probably aren't at their best at the moment. Navarre obviously losing their last game, as did Lexington, but Lexington showed against Natty last weekend that they're not far off the trip, and you don't ever back Navarre to lose 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm not going to back Navarre to lose 2 games in a row. I don't think I'd like to be in a Tigers jumper this week, because I reckon the Grasshoppers are going to come out firing.
Yeah, they are indeed. They've had a week to stew on that one now, and I think that they're going to be pretty upset when they run out onto the park at home this week and should get the job done. Natty Bialaba taking on the Maryborough Rovers. Rovers season not done yet, but they've got a couple of really hard games to finish off the season with Natty and Royal Park, obviously 2 top 4 teams. Destiny's in their own hands, though, if they can cause the upset against Natty, who, probably fair to say, just been getting to the line in the last couple of weeks, then they're still a very, very big chance of playing finals.
They are, but they're going to have to produce their best, I think, in the next fortnight, the Rovers, and unfortunately, I'm going to go with the Swans.
Swans just going at the moment, are they? Or is the results just really not portraying things down at Natty at the moment?
Oh, look, they probably are disappointed, I guess, with how things have been going the last 2 weeks. Jared Bateson didn't play last week, but Zach Perez back into the Swans
there we
side.
Go.
Massive inclusion.
That helps.
Former premiership winner and best on ground in a grand final, medal winner. So very good player to get back for Natty.
Are we expecting Bateson back this week?
I think we'll see Bateson back this week. Simon Hands as well, a guy that's only played 2 games for the Swans.
Fingers.
Was going to play last year, but ended up with a pretty bad kidney injury.
Yep.
So he's only just back on the park this week.
I really should just do a freeze frame and give that look that you gave me. Give a second look at that, because that
done
was
some ordinary
hang
jokes.
on, what's going on there? So both tipping Natty in this one. Match of the round this week out at Hedges Oval. No doubt about this one. Royal Park taking on Carisbrook. Obviously the undefeated Tigers taking on Carisbrook, team that have hit some form in recent weeks, knocked over Navarre with a lightning first quarter in the first half of the split round. This one is going to be on for young and old.
It is, and I'm actually going to tip Carisbrook to snap Royal Park's winning streak with only a couple of rounds left to play. I think we're only just see the best of the Redbacks.
I think Royal Park will win the game. I think they play Hedges Oval very well. Obviously, a very big ground, as we know. One that they're not going to have to worry about in finals this year either. They'll play on Princes Park, and they'll probably stay there the whole way through unless they lose in that first week. But just think that they're going along okay at the moment. Their run that they've got, their fitness is probably second to none in the league, and I think they'll use that to their advantage. They play a really good game of footy, short kicks, chipping the ball, making sure they're keeping possession of the ball. I think that'll hold them in good stead this week.
Yeah, but I think Carisbrook's probably got the personnel of if any team's going to put an end to that game plan, it's going to be Carisbrook. I think they've got the speed and the height to maybe disrupt that game.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I'm not tipping Royal Park to win this game by a lot, but I just think that they'll be able to just outlast them. Obviously, they beat Carisbrook earlier in the year at Carisbrook, which is tough to do, so they know that they can do it. They'll have the confidence there. I think they'll do it again, but I'm happy to be proven wrong.
We'll have to agree to disagree.
We will indeed. And then, of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Sunday football this week, the WorkSafe game of the round across country Victoria. Newstead taking on Trentham. It's big because it's being highlighted by AFL Victoria, but it's also huge because the winner of this game plays finals. It is absolutely locked in stone that the winner of this game will feature in that first week of the finals.
Yeah, they certainly do. 7th and 8th on the ladder at the moment. I'm going to back the Roos, but probably only because they are 7th.
Yep.
Just that one rung higher than the Saints.
And playing at home and playing some pretty good footy at the moment. Although Trentham in the last few weeks have showed that they're getting back on track at the moment as well. Would not surprise me if they won this game. And of course, Newstead win this, then it does open the door for Denali as well, obviously. With that percentage gap, we look at the last round, Trentham play Lexington and Denali play Malden in the last game. So it could, if this game works out that way, it could be right on. Newstead in the last round as well, playing Campbell's Creek. At Campbell's Creek, so a tough game out there as well. So Denali, I suppose, won't mind who loses this one because it's going to keep the door open for them either way. But I just think that they'll be cheering on the Newstead boys as well.
Yeah, massive bearing on the makeup of the finals this game. Trentham, like you said, doing some very nice work, particularly after you and I wrote them off a couple of weeks ago.
We did indeed. Just absolutely put the
really
line
stuck
through
it
them.
up us.
They did.
They made us look stupid yet again.
And a big chance for them to do that officially this weekend and book a finals appearance. The winner of this game will play finals. The loser still alive, but obviously with some work to do in round 16. That's all we've got for this week. We started slowly, but we really worked into it. Got some real sharp kind of stuff out there this week as well. Sammy, thank you for your contributions once again.
Thanks, mate. Thank you for your terrible Simon Hands joke.
Really, really good jokes I've got going on at the moment. If you want more of them, make sure you tune in next week to the MCDFNL Footy Show as we bring the home and away season to a conclusion here in the MCDFNL. We'll see you then.